Hey guys, welcome back to Couch Talk. This is Eddie here. If it's your first time on the show, please hit like, please hit subscribe below. It is the only way I'm going to break out into the YouTube platform, given the algorithm. There's just a lot of great content here, and we've got to be equally as great with subscribers, just as engaged. And I promise, if you follow me, I will do the research, I will do the work, I will do the thought time, and I will make sure that I have earned your subscription 100%. All right, we're going to be continuing on today with our Bill of Rights series, going to the important Fifth Amendment. And it's a big one, so here it comes. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Whew. So again, Congress in their first few acts just packing an immense amount of freedom into a little bitty statement, and that's how eloquent they were back then, how capable of packing that much content into that little paragraph. It blows my mind every time. First thing I want to draw attention to when it comes to the Fifth Amendment, and the reason I do this is because it's kind of near and dear to my heart. We often think of our inalienable rights as being life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, while two of those are very obvious and easy to legislate around, pursuit of happiness is kind of this nebulous, warm, fuzzy language that I don't really know if anybody knows what it means, right? So it's difficult to write legislation around that. I prefer the language in this amendment, which is the original language of those inalienable rights, which is, shall not be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Now, I think that if you surmise what things you can do with life, liberty, and property, you probably can pursue happiness with those things, right? And perhaps the fulfillment of these items is perhaps what is closest to fulfillment in general, fulfillment in life. So let's talk about the Fifth Amendment. Big amendment, lots of freedom here. Basically, it gives you 5 essential rights. It gives you the right to a jury or trial, within a reasonable time frame, too, I might add. So they can't just string you out for... As a matter of fact, it even gives you the right to be charged with a crime from the beginning, right? So many people don't know, but if a cop pulls you over and suspects you of a crime, they may detain you for up to 48 hours without actually charging you. Now, obviously, they need a good reason to do this, but at the end of that 48 hours, regardless of their reason, they have to make a decision. This due process requires them to either charge you with a crime or, ask or get off the pot, right? The next right it gives you is protection against double jeopardy. All right, so most people have seen that movie with Ashley Judd and Tommy Lee Jones. Not one of his better movies, but it was an intriguing movie. Obviously, if you get tried for murder, you go to jail, you get out, you're a rehabilitated person. You can't get tried for the exact same murder again. It's already done. You already did it. You already served your time. No two punishments for the same offense. Protection against self-incrimination. So you've probably heard a million different people say, I'll plead the Fifth. I'll take the Fifth. Now, in reality, that's not good legal language. What a lawyer would probably coach you to say is, I would like to decline answering that question as the answer may incriminate me, which kind of makes you look a little bit guilty, but in the eyes of the law, especially in a court of record where basically all they've got is that written context of what you are saying, then you're covered. Even though you may be indicating guilt, they can't use that against you, not in the court. Except in certain circumstances, but those are, we're not going to get into the hardcore legality of it. The right to a fair trial. Now, this is a big one. I see this one abused all the time. And it's most often that you don't see a jury of your peers. In peer group is kind of hard to track. And the jury selection teams that are usually in place to pick the people that they want, who they think might convict you, or the people that they want who think might, stick up for you, defend you. Those are obviously, weighted. That's like weighted dice. Basically somebody is already stacking the deck, and they're going to try to stack it against you. So I don't know how fair these trials are. I also don't know that you even get this fair trial in many cases. Like, for example, I had a traffic violation, and we'll do a video on it. It was a great story. I got pulled over for my brother speeding. Yeah, kind of neat. And despite the fact that that's absolutely ridiculous, I fought it for 2 years in court. Several months in, I finally get a trial, go to district court, and the judge, basically slaps it away, says, nope, you're still guilty, even though there's no evidence against you. And so I keep fighting, and I kept appealing, and I kept on getting continuance after continuance. Finally, 2 years later, I'm thinking, where's my due process? Where's my justice here? I want my day in court. Eventually, it ended up getting dismissed. But that's just because I was overwhelmingly persistent. I don't think they ever actually expect someone to require their fair trial. But I was one of the few who did it, and it worked out for me. And then finally, you get the protection against the taking of property without compensation. So things that this might cover might be like eminent domain, right? So if your house is too close to where they want to build a superhighway, and they just want to wipe your property off the face of the map, build a road over it, the government can do that. They try not to, but they can. The important thing to note is that you will be compensated for it at fair market value. I'm not sure what that means exactly. I've always wondered if you get an extra little kick for the hassle, for the inconvenience of having to get kicked off your land, or like if a police officer confiscates your vehicle because they're chasing a suspect and they they need wheels right away. I wonder if, you get compensated for like the loss of a vehicle for a day. It'd be interesting to note. But according to this amendment, you should. Now, I know you guys are probably sick of hearing me talk about the Patriot Act, probably sick of hearing me talk about the Espionage Act, but guys, these acts, they repeal so many freedoms. The Patriot Act basically blatantly breaks this amendment. It can, under certain circumstances, allow some government officials to hold some people suspected of terrorism forever. Like, throw away the key forever without any true evidence, hoping that they get it, interrogating them, which, get me started on how ridiculous that is. But, yeah, those acts, they have to go. Obama has used the Espionage Act as a weapon, basically to target any of his political rivals, any whistleblowers, anybody who ever leaked any information, basically use the Espionage Act to just round everybody up, throw them in jail. Many of who got charged and convicted, some of lesser crimes because they pled down, but it's just the principle of the thing. The fact that we're weaponizing the FBI to go after political rivals is it's a new low in our country. And you know what strikes me as odd? I'm surprised that Trump didn't also do this, right? Like, I mean, you've seen many times where there was a whistleblower that gave away something that Trump did that everybody made a hullabaloo about. Why didn't Trump just use the Espionage Act to round them up like Obama did? Maybe he respected the Constitution too much. Maybe. I'm giving him a lot of credit here. Or maybe maybe he didn't know about it. Or maybe he just thought, maybe he was just so overconfident, so supremely overconfident that all of his calls were perfect calls. Who knows? But it always struck me as odd that Obama basically weaponized this thing and that Trump didn't continue that abuse because he seemed to like the power while he was there. So I'm not sure. Guys, let me know what you think below because I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious to know what you think as far as Trump being able to use that to protect himself and Obama's use of it. Definitely egregious. We have got to get rid of the Espionage Act. It was originally designed to keep people from keeping other people from joining the draft, right? Like, the draft was compulsory, and they were handing out these brochures to basically entice these people to resist the draft, to not go if called, which, would have been illegal. I'm not sure why we needed this act to repeal our freedoms to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish here. Why didn't we just have a law that says you can't incite someone else to do something illegal, like not get drafted? And maybe we already have a law like that on the books, but it just seems odd that we instead of targeting the individual practice that we had a problem with, that we came up with this kind of blanket act that gives Congress and the government way too much power. It takes way too many of our freedoms away. I can't figure it. Guys, again, let me know what you think below. One thing I'll mention that it's interesting. It notes that you don't have to be presented with an indictment of a grand jury if you are in the land or naval forces, the militia. Basically, what they're saying is they're just diverting jurisdiction to the Uniform Military Code of Justice, something I was under while I was in the military. But basically, the military has its own tribunal, its own kind of justice system. Guys, we're going to continue talking about the justice system in general and how I am very displeased with it. But for right now, this amendment is very, very potent, and I think that we need to make sure that all of the freedoms on this amendment are observed 100% every single day without fail. Let me know what you guys think below, and I'll catch you guys next time on Couch Talk.